Welcome to Sacred Space with Sonia. I'm your host, Sonia Sanger. And today's guest is Rebecca Rauscher. She is an incredible woman, multi-talented woman. She is a somatic psychotherapist, but her list of accomplishments is long. And we're going to talk about all the work that she has done as a therapist. We're also going to talk to her about some of her biggest life lessons that have happened in life's transitions. Those are those moments where all of the circumstances change and you're left questioning everything around you. So today we're also going to talk a lot about nervous system regulation and compassion and how we can use both of those together to help ourselves move forward. Let's begin. Rebecca, welcome here to Sacred Space. It's so nice to see you again and to sit with you for this conversation. I'm really excited to see where this leads us.
Me too. I'm so pleased to be here.
Tell us first what a somatic psychotherapist is. I did a bit of research on my own, but I'd love to hear you describe it.
Yeah, I will describe it. And I will say in BC at this point, we're called registered clinical counselors. And likely that will be changing to psychotherapists in the near future. And so, yes, I am a somatic psychotherapist. And so that means I don't work so much with the thoughts or the cognitions. It's not that those aren't important, but I spend a lot of time with clients using the wisdom of the body, really dropping into the body to see what's showing up. And some people might be able to really identify emotions that are showing up, but others, we work with the sensation because that is kind of the expression of the emotion. So that's a kind of a gateway into understanding emotions is through any kind of, changes in sensation in the body. That might be tightness in the chest or the belly, it might be butterflies, it might be tightness in the throat, headache, all sorts of things. So we're really paying attention to those, and we ride the wave of the emotion or the sensation to really be with what's showing up.
Interesting. And why? Why do you think it's so important to be body focused first?
Because we try to think our way out of everything, and it doesn't work. In some cases it does. We need goals, we can cognitively solve things. But when it comes to emotional experiences or, any kind of relating, we really want to understand what's going on in the changes underneath the thought. It just gives us a different wisdom. And it's a way to, when we pay attention, when we ride the wave of an emotion, we can stay with it, we can allow it, and then it's going to dissipate. And then we can feel something different. And it's not to say that, say we're working with sadness, that sadness won't come up again, 2 minutes, 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes or later on. But in that moment, especially when I'm sitting with someone and we're using that relationship, we can be with that emotion together. We can hold that together. And often I'm feeling what the client is feeling. And so as we're feeling the sadness together, they feel less alone. That feels safer. And we all have emotions.
Absolutely, we do. But I feel like so many people in society right now are afraid to feel their emotions. I'm sure that that's something that you have dealt with a lot, right? That's primarily what you do.
All the time. I mean, I've worked with some of my clients for years now, so they know we're going in. But I've heard things like, if I feel sadness, I'm going to pity myself forever, or I'm going to feel sadness forever. I'm going to cry forever. And I show them that that's actually not true.
Sometimes you really do have to let yourself feel it so that your body can release that energy.
Absolutely. That is part of it. We stay, we allow, we welcome, and then it moves on, and then we can let it go.
That's kind of like, when you're having like a really bad day or something and you're like, oh, I just feel like crying.
Yeah.
And then you let yourself have a cry.
Yeah.
And you're like, I feel better.
I feel better now.
Doesn't feel so heavy.
Exactly.
I needed to release it.
Yes. And for people who don't release it, it will come out in other ways. And this is what I try to explain to clients over and over again. Just because you don't allow sadness or grief or loss or anger doesn't mean it goes away. It actually shows up in other places. And this is where we start to see, your irritability or anger, maybe towards your partner or your child. People turn to substances. And all sorts of kind of maladaptive ways or difficult ways that people will deal with these things. Or they say they're going to put it in a box. I can put that sadness in a box, but it's not in a box. It's still being experienced in the body.
And do you find that oftentimes that will also manifest, like you said earlier, in the body, in aches and pains, or maybe
yes,
chronic disease and chronic pain?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I work a lot with people with chronic pain, chronic illness, and especially women. And this was 10 years ago when I opened up my private practice. That was a lot of the clients I was seeing was women who had gone through doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor and not getting a diagnosis. And they were frustrated. So we learned to work with what was coming up. And that did involve being with, some family of origin work, some trauma work, and always, always, always allowing emotions together in the safety of our relationship, the therapeutic relationship.
Rebecca, what drew you to this work to begin with? Like, was there a moment in your life where you realized I'm suited to this type of relationship with people, where I can be someone that they can talk to?
I think I've always known. I'm a middle child in a beautiful family, sibling family. But, the middle child comes with some responsibility. And I love being a caretaker. I've always been a caretaker. And so when I was deciding what to do, I did the science degree. And then I went into occupational therapy first before doing a master's in counseling psych. So I worked as an occupational therapist for almost 15 years. And mostly in mental health, mostly with people with severe and persistent mental illness and eating disorders. I work with people with aphasia. And, the part that I loved, OT is very practical. I really loved it. You really get people out in their community, getting back to the activities that they love, being able to function, after something happens in their life. And the part that I really loved was sitting with people. I really loved getting to know people. And I knew I wanted to do a master's. So a master's in counseling psych made sense because then I could sit with people, walk alongside them. I see them as the experts of their experience, and we could really dive in.
How has this changed you as a person? Maybe it's probably hard to, separate the two. Because it's been such a big part of your life. But I guess I can ask you that again. How do you feel it's changed you?
I'm so honored. I'm so honored to do the work I do. I still see clients. I do own a group practice. So there's a lot of other stuff that I do. And when I get to sit with clients, I just feel so honored. I feel so grateful to be a part of their lives and to give them the space to repair old relationships in our therapeutic relationship, in just having this opportunity to see people, in the darkest places and just seeing a little bit of light, to see them shift and change dramatically. It's the best job. It really is. It just is such a gift to be able to do the work that I do.
Yeah. And we had a couple moments before we started just to take a breath, get into our body. We hear a lot about nervous system regulation, but how do you use it in your work?
I use it all the time. So whenever I'm sitting with a client and I'm tracking moment to moment what's going on, what I'm noticing in their words, in the way they're speaking, in their nonverbals, in their energy, I'm also noticing what's happening in my body as we're sitting together. So if I'm noticing that someone is going outside their window of tolerance, and I can say more about what that is in a second, I'm going to do things to bring them back into their window of tolerance. So the window of tolerance is kind of this window of capacity that we all have, where our nervous system is going back and forth between sympathetic, parasympathetic. Even if there's a stressor, we can still use our prefrontal cortex cortex. We can still think, can still problem solve, excuse me, do the things that we need to do. But for some people, they go out of their window of tolerance for a variety of reasons. They might go into hyper arousal, where they're kind of frenetic, anxious, can't think straight, or into hypo arousal, where they have a real slowing down. I've had clients who just kind of like collapse. So the way I'm working with the nervous system is always assessing where they are at in that window of tolerance. And if they're going into hyper arousal or hypo arousal, then I'm going to do some different activities to bring them back into their window of tolerance. So for example, I would do things like if they're in hyper arousal, I could do some breath work, or I could do orienting to the environment. So a big one that I use because it's so easy, virtual or in person, is using our five senses. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. And that right away can bring people back online. And if it's not enough, then we'll do more. Okay, 5 green things, 4 red things. And so I'm trying to get them back into their cognition and oriented into their space. I get people to look all around the room. When we're out of our window of tolerance, when we're feeling really anxious, we kind of get this tunnel vision. So I'm having them expand. And I will actually do a lot of body work to get them to expand. Let's lift our arms. I can't because the mic's here, but lift our arms to the ceiling. Let's look all the way around the room, all the way to the left, all the way to the right. So really get them to expand what they're seeing. I mean, I could go on and on. We do grounding in the feet, all sorts of things.
Yeah. And I guess, you realize that when someone is sitting with you, you're able to guide them through that.
Yes.
But day to day, when they're going through those stressors in their life, why do you think we get out of our window of tolerance? Do you think it's just because we have become so disconnected from our bodies that we're focused so much in the mind?
Or completely distracted altogether on our phones or whatever else we're distracted on. Absolutely. Yes. So when we can notice, some people don't even know that they've gone out of their window of tolerance. They're walking around in kind of this hyper vigilant state all the time, or the opposite, which is kind of like this, concave state all the time. And so, the part of the practice is awareness. That's number one. That's where we start. And in my sessions, we'll say, did you notice that, your hands were fisted? And they don't even know. So then when they draw attention to that, okay, we can relax that. And then we're learning things like, I don't do a lot of progressive muscle relaxation, but tightening and relaxing. Oh, this is what tight feels like. Oh, this is what relaxed feels like. So really just giving them a lot of opportunity in session to practice these things. And yes, we've gotten away from it outside. So anywhere you can bring some tiny bits of awareness into when something is shifted, that's where you can start to make a change, do something different. Yeah.
Do you find that there are certain similarities or commonalities in terms of what brings a person in to come and see you? I know life transitions can be a big hurdle for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people can come in with all sorts of things, relationship issues, life transitions, losing a job. All sorts of reasons. And I think the common thing is people are suffering. People are feeling hopeless or scared or alone, misunderstood. So those are reasons why people can reach out. And they want to just kind of make sense of what's going on. Why do I feel so miserable all the time? Or why am I so scared of everything?
Considering all of the people that you've helped over your many years as a therapist, do you feel like, there's something you wish you could say to your clients, like about our society, about our culture, about the way that we live?
Yeah. I'd love to see people bring more humanness, more humanity, see the commonalities that we share with human experiencing. We all suffer. We all feel the same emotions across the globe. They show up somatically in similar ways in different cultures, different parts of the world. And so just to see that we all suffer. And I think many of us want to see more connection, more love, more understanding, more pause, so that when I see, my kids react, I don't react. I can take a pause and know, okay, this is how I can show up differently to support them, or your partner or your friend. I mean, even if they're being jerks,
Yeah.
we can still pause and give a bit more clarity to what's going on.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of thinking about all the stimulation we encounter throughout our day,
Yes.
whether it be our telephone, our television, our radio. Like, we're constantly being bombarded with messages and with information. And, there's a part of me that feels like and knows that that's not that's not an ideal environment for us as humans, as human beings. Part of the reason I feel that so many people are dysregulated or disconnected is because of the way we live.
Yes, absolutely. It does keep us completely disconnected. Think of all the times you're on the bus or the SkyTrain, or you're in a restaurant and everybody, even you're sitting across from each other, is on a screen, and it is so disconnecting. And when we put the phone down, I mean, you and I are looking into each other's eyes right now. I see you, you see me. It's the relationship. It's so pivotal. It's so beautiful. And it releases all of these chemicals in our body, right? That makes us feel good.
Yeah. And, it makes me, it's even further than that. I think it's the way we live.
Yes.
All these single family homes, everyone's living separately. And, I think of like different cultures where there's multi-generational dwelling, or just a mix. And with more moments of connection, I think people become happier. So I think we, as a society, we need to think about all the ways we are disconnecting from each other, because we're also disconnecting from ourselves in that moment too.
I agreed. That's why I think community centers are so important. Team sports are so important. Not everybody is sporty, myself included, but other ways that you can do that. Go into a dance class.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I've taken a couple of Bollywood classes. I'm not good at it, but I love it.
I love hearing that. I love that. No, I think it's great to always, push your boundaries.
Yeah.
Or,
your
get
comfort level.
Exactly. Your comfort zone. Get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because just like you said what drew you most to your profession is that connection to people. That feeling, that moment that you share. And I think in a lot of ways, that's why I love what I do, getting to sit with people and speak to them and have them share something beautiful or heartfelt with me.
Yes.
Because there is a sacred experience in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I just think even right now, I can feel the full tingles as we sit here together. We talk about this. I feel the connection. And most people, because they're disconnected, they're in their cognition or they're connected to some device, they never get the opportunity to feel this. So just stop and feel what's in the body right now.
What do you feel in the body right now?
I feel like this tingling from my fingertips all the way down to my toes, like up my arms, down my torso, down my legs, into my toes.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
And would you call that like your energy field? Or
that would be my energy field. That would be love. That would be happiness, joy, maybe a little bit of, I was going to say fear, maybe sub-fear.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think, we allow our minds to run the show.
Yes.
But I think our bodies, we should give way more attention to what our body is trying to tell us. And obviously, with the nervous system regulation, that's what we're trying to do, is get back to our body enough that we can shut off the mind to be able to listen to any of the signals that are being sent our way.
Absolutely. Yes, I tell my clients that we have over 70,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are gobbledygook. Most of them are not true. But what is true is what's happening in the body. The breath, the feet against the ground, my hands resting in my lap right now.
I heard a quote that I like to repeat now, that there is nothing more present than your breath.
There is nothing more present than your breath. It is real. It is true. It is happening right now. And your body knows how to breathe. We can consciously breathe, and our brainstem will take over to breathe if we don't.
What kind of breathing exercises or maybe simple nervous system regulation reset do you recommend to your clients?
So I do quite a few, and I say to clients, some work sometimes, some don't work sometimes, and then it might be flipped another time. So to have a couple, at the ready, and to practice when you're not feeling dysregulated, so it becomes more natural when you are dysregulated. So things like box breathing is pretty common. So we breathe in for 4 counts, we hold for 4 counts, we exhale, we hold. We inhale, we hold, we exhale, we
I,
hold.
I always close my eyes naturally just to get deeper into it. But yeah, even if I hope that people that are listening also that you also took that moment to take that breath.
Yes.
Because it is extraordinary what just 2 breaths like that will do for you.
Absolutely. And I say it's easy. You can put a sticky note at your computer or on your mirror, box breathing, or on your phone, put an alert, box breathing. Another one is 4-7-8 breathing, which you probably heard of as well. This is good for stimulating the vagus nerve, good for serotonin. So we breathe in for 4, we hold for 7, and we exhale for 8.
Okay.
So you want to have a longer exhale. That's what we're looking for. If you can't remember the numbers, doesn't matter. But it's that shorter inhale, hold for a bit, and then exhale for a longer. So 4-7-8, or however that comes naturally to you.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
All the things that are the best for us are
Yes.
so simple, but we're always looking for the shiny thing that's going to solve everything for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I hear that a lot. I just want a quick fix. I don't want to feel like this anymore. And that really speaks to the suffering. And I'm really going to honor that in a person, whether that is a client or one of my clinicians or a friend or a family member. There's something going on. And then we can use the relationship again. I see you. I hear you. I care about you. I'm here.
Speaking of relationships, I was at an event recently where you shared a little bit about some of the life transitions that you've gone through, and the life lessons that you've learned through those moments. I wonder if you'd be willing to share a little bit about that with us and why it was so pivotal for you.
Yeah, I think it's important to share my story because I'm not, I go through everything that everyone else goes through. Even as a therapist, as a mindfulness practitioner, I go through the same thing. So yeah, I have been through a difficult life transition that left me feeling really dysregulated. I was having panic attacks. I was having a lot of dissociation, which meant that I didn't feel like I was in my body. And there was a period of time where it felt pretty scary for me and for the people around me. And so there are a few moments along the way where I realized I needed to get more help. One of them being when I was actually sitting with my psychologist at the time, and I had a panic attack in the session. And she was able to work with me. And this was virtual. This was during COVID.
Wow.
So to even through a screen, to use some of the skills that we've already talked about and the relational piece, her voice, her knowing of me, her care for me, to help me through to ride that panic attack. I've had a very supportive GP over the years, which has been incredibly important for some of the psychopharmacology that can be really helpful. There was a period where I did need to use an antidepressant to help with my mental health at that time. I've worked with a naturopath who has been tremendously helpful in naming some of the trauma that I experienced and helping me understand how that was showing up in my body. I learned to slow down and ask for help, whereas before I was really just like giving and giving and giving and giving, and I needed to ask for help.
And I find that profound because you know these things through your profession, but like you said, you're still human.
Yes, I am still very human, and I learned some very human lessons in this time period. And I want to say the biggest thing that helped me was a somatic practice, a dance aerobics practice.
Okay, tell me more.
So it's something called The Class, and it's out of New York. And so during COVID, which was brilliant, is everything was digital. Everything was online. So I had the opportunity in the hardest time of my life to practice this somatic aerobics, dance, mindfulness, Pilates. It's so hard to explain what it is, but it would have been really hard for me to get by without this. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it was not only moving my body, which is very important, the release of endorphins, with all the stuff you get, the benefits of exercise. But the kind of the framework is you do the same muscle group for an entire duration of a song. And what comes up? Pain, and then thoughts. Not pain, but like discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And then thoughts. And the thoughts duplicate how things in your world come up. I can't do this. I have to stop. This is too much suffering, all of the things, or even some of the core beliefs. I'm not good enough, And so you learned to relate to it through this exercise practice where they're using these beautiful words. I'm feeling it with you. I know this is uncomfortable and you will get through it. And afterwards, we kind of process it and metabolize it. They also use a lot of sound. And we do not use sound a lot in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I use a lot of sound myself, and my kids laugh. They used to laugh and say, "Oh, mom's doing the class again," because I'd be like, "Oh,
yeah,"
and I do this with my clients now. I'm like, this is gonna be weird, but we're gonna go.
Yeah. It feels so good.
It feels so good.
So good. Yeah. And not just like, but also, the therapeutic benefits of sound and sound healing.
Yes.
And frequency. Like it's all connected. Yes. It's all very much like a holistic kind of approach. The sound that we hear in music has the same impact on us as we can when we're in a sound bath.
Absolutely.
And it's really just, I'm not an expert on frequency and how all of that affects the brain. Mm-hmm. But I have interviewed people about it before, and it's fascinating to learn how it can literally change the way that your brain is operating in that moment when you hear those sounds.
Yes.
So I think sometimes we don't give enough attention to those things that we can't see, but we can feel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It makes me think of when I first started yoga in my early 20s. It's a long time ago now. Me too. How we would do Om. And I didn't know why that was so good, but now I understand the stimulation of the vagus nerve, the vibration through the body. And now I understand how that's important for me when I'm feeling a lot, and also to share that with my clients. And we do that in session. So lots of Om, humming, singing, weird sounds. I'm all in for it.
You know what? I think when we look at a lot of Eastern cultures, Eastern spirituality, whether it's, Buddhism or Taoism or Hinduism, they've all been doing this.
Absolutely.
For a very long time.
Yes.
And I think, Western culture, hasn't been part of the culture. But when we see that other cultures have been practicing these things for thousands of years, there is a reason.
Yes, there is a reason.
And I don't think in our North American view that we give it enough credence.
No, absolutely. And I think that is shifting. I hope that is shifting.
Yeah, I think it is. But I mean, just in terms of like, yes, culturally, people know that there are benefits to it. But having a conversation with someone about, hey, do you want to go to a sound bath with me? They're like, what's that woo-woo shit you're into, And, they're not, some are willing to open up a little bit. But I wonder often about that block that people put up. Like, nope. Nope, it's not for me. And I realize we all come to things at our own time, and when we're ready for them, and we are very much on our own life path. And I respect that and understand it. But I think sometimes we also have to ask ourselves, where is that discomfort coming from? Why do we judge so quickly?
I think that's a great question. I don't know that I know the answer to it. I mean, I can give you my experience. I started with a science degree. I'm used to, looking at evidence, reading the research articles, understanding where, why.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in my master's, there was a lot of that. And, I'm at this point in my life where I'm starting to look more at the signs, at the magic, at the miracles, at the things I can't explain. And it's uncomfortable. It really is, because I can't explain it, but I just know it's here because I can feel it.
I think that's a really interesting perspective, and I'd love to hear more, go like a little bit deeper there, because I think as we're learning now, there is science behind spirituality.
Yes.
But maybe it hasn't quite caught up.
Mhm.
So do you feel sometimes you're like, you have one foot in the spiritual world and one foot in the scientific world?
Yeah, probably a bigger foot in the spiritual, and the scientific. I'm like, okay, you know what? I can hold that. And it is important to me in many ways. I mean, I work with a lot of students, so, I want to bring some evidence-based stuff, but for myself, for my own healing, for my own journey, and for the work I do with my clients. So yes, feet in both places.
And how does that, I guess, how do you, I don't want to say rationalize it, but how do you balance it?
By feeling it, by doing it. So, the example, my first sound bath, I didn't know what to expect. And I was lying down, and it was about, 40 minutes. I didn't even know that it was that long. I felt so many different states in my body, in my mind. I've done mindfulness meditation for about 10 years now. And so I know what it feels like to kind of be in that place where, okay, things are a bit quieter. I can follow the ocean waves of my breath, but there's something different. There was something different with the sound bath where
you feel it. You actually feel it.
I felt like something was being released, especially in my throat. And I've had a lot of work done since the big life transition. I had a lot of, I felt like I lost my voice. And so I've done a lot of work in my throat with many different kinds of practitioners. And there was something in the sound bath where I went, oh, keep hitting the microphone.
It's okay.
And I felt
that release.
And it felt like a release. And I still feel different now. And that was many years ago. So, and I felt something similar with my energy healer as well, where, it's incredible to go into a room where you don't really know what's happening, but lots is happening.
I felt that before too.
Yeah.
Especially with energy healing. It's really hard to explain.
Yes.
But when did you first experience an energy healing session?
It was probably about 8 months ago.
Okay,
and I've done
so fairly
3
recent
sessions.
All right. And so
Yes.
what drew you to it in the first place? What made you think, okay, I'm gonna give this a try?
Yeah, I think some of the things that I continue to hold on to with that big life transition, in some ways things still continue to get sticky, or I continue to have a response when I don't want to have a response, or a reaction when I'm like, come on, we know how to work with this. So I knew there was something else, even after all of the, I've done a lot of therapy. I've done, like all sorts of different things to work through the trauma. But there's something that also needed to be done. So sitting with the energy healer gave me the opportunity. She moved some stuff in my hips, in my ankles, where I've carried a lot of pain, and in my throat. So doing the work with her over the last few months, I feel like when something comes in that I would have had a reaction to before, it just doesn't get the same valence anymore. So I don't know what that is, Sonia.
Yeah, it's and sometimes it's okay to not know everything. And it's okay to trust the body.
It is okay to trust the body. Yes.
We constantly are looking for the answers. Well, where's the evidence? Where's the research?
Yes.
Where's the just try it.
Exactly.
Just try it.
You're making me think. So I'm in a miracle circle right now, and I can't take credit for this. This is from my coach,
Okay.
who you know. But the question that she asks to all of us is, I have no idea how, but it would be a miracle if. Ooh. And she keeps putting this out to us, the group.
I love that, because I think we catastrophize about how everything could go wrong. Well, I shouldn't go, for this risky, job or whatever it is, because all of these horrible things could happen.
Yeah.
But let's start to normalize, the best case scenario.
Absolutely. Because there are so many best case scenarios. And I work a lot with worst case scenarios all the time. And my big question is, so what if that happens?
You're already living it in your head. Yeah. Why not just let it go?
Let it go. You realize it's not that bad.
Yeah. I think we forget sometimes when we're worrying about something, and I have to catch myself in it too, that I could spend that time worrying and feel that way. Or I could tell myself, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yep.
I think the best thing is going to happen, and I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
And then say the time comes and the worst case scenario happens. Well, I'm probably in a better state to deal with it now.
I love that.
Because I haven't been in that state of worry for the past hour or whatever the time period is.
Yes.
I used that analogy to help my nephew through something recently. And he was like, that's actually a pretty good reason.
I love it. I love it. There's this, I was at a retreat once and they played this song where over and over again it says, worrying is preposterous. And I'm like, yeah.
Because it doesn't bring you any further to anything. And it puts you into that future state. You're not in the present when you're worrying.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's right.
So it's that I have to remind myself as well. Be here. Be with my breath. Be in this moment. The future can wait. We'll get to it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's inevitable.
And you're going to have different resources for future you.
Yeah. 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 I like to give myself that remembrance that whatever comes my way, I've survived everything before. I'll survive it again.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful way of looking at it. And can we just stay here with what's real and true right now?
You mentioned the world of magic and miracles earlier. And I'm wondering, over these 8 months that you've been working with an energy healer, have you seen some magic, some miracles come your way?
Heck yeah.
Tell me more.
It's really incredible because I don't feel stuck. I feel excited. People have come back into my life over the last few months who I never thought would. And one person has actually opened a door for something that I didn't even know was there. And so I'm walking into this new world, something really exciting in September. And if I hadn't met up with someone who I haven't seen in over 10 years, I don't know that I would have landed in this beautiful, wonderful, exciting place. So that's just one example. I'm seeing signs in a different way. I feel happier. I feel more engaged. Some of the stressors that come up, in my work life don't feel that big anymore. Why? I don't need to ask why anymore. I'm just allowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Acceptance, right?
Acceptance. And it's not that my life has changed in any significant way. It hasn't. But it's my perspective. It's my knowing. It's my trust. And it's looking at the miracle, being the miracle.
Yeah. And knowing that it's, it's those little moments in the journey that make up the whole, right? Yeah. It's not about like that final moment at the destination or checking this box.
Yes.
It's really being present in all the moments throughout the day.
Yes, it really is. And then finding those things that are pleasurable in life. I think that's something we forget to do. So I'm reading The Pivot Year right now.
Okay, interesting. Because that was one of the topics I wanted to bring up, but I want you to finish your thought. And then,
so one of the day descriptions, or it's like poetry, is about looking at a flower every day. I can't remember the exact words of it, but I sent the screenshot, or I took a picture of it and sent it to my daughter, and I said, let's find the flowers every day. So I've been sending her pictures of flowers. She hasn't done it yet for me, but she's 17, so we got to go easy on her. But I'm now looking at the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Just one little thing has made such a big difference.
Totally. Because all that time you're spending looking at the flowers and thinking of something beautiful, feeling something beautiful, that's taking you out of thinking of, the worst case scenario or the negative. Like sometimes I like to think of all of the time we have in a day. Like if you were to look at like a pie chart, like what do you want to fill it with?
Yeah, not worrying.
Exactly. But we do.
I know.
We fill it with worry and anxiety.
Yes.
We're out of our dread or whatever it is. And I've been there. I still deal with it sometimes.
Yes.
But I use those reminders daily.
Yes.
You're like, do I want to be here?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be there, stuck in my head?
Exactly. And that's where awareness comes in. And then that little practice. So some people use gratitude practice. I often ask my clients just one pleasant thing, and it doesn't even have to be like joyful pleasant. It can just be something different than what you feel all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It might be one sip of tea that tastes good, or the breeze that hits your face, or your dog coming and sitting on you, or, something simple. You don't have to go searching for it. It's here right now. It's always here.
You mentioned pivoting earlier. I have been noticing in my life so many women in particular going through that right now, pivoting in terms of their career, maybe the direction that they're taking their life in, maybe a big life change. Are you noticing the same thing?
I am. And I think it's our age and stage as well. I think with perimenopause and menopause, there is a lot of grief and loss and symptoms and all the kind of medical things that we talk about, but there's also something really beautiful in it. I think feeling the grief is really important, but also there is this expansiveness and this opening and this excitement and this opportunity to make a change. And that looks different for everybody. But I'll give the example for me. My daughter is going away to university. I want to be able to go back and forth easier. So what do I need to do to pivot to make that more realistic in my life? I think a lot of my peers, their kids are going to university. Some are empty nesters now. So there's big things happening. And so this does feel like a natural time to reflect and to see what's fitting, what's working, and what's not.
I think energetically, like if I were to feel into the moment that we're in, and what we've been going through for the past few years, I mean, the state of the world is upside down one day, and you never know what you're going to get every day. So, and I feel sometimes like the state of the world is forcing people to go inwards a bit, and maybe to think of, what do I actually want to do with my life?
Yes.
How do I want to spend my time?
Yes.
So sometimes I wonder if it's world circumstances and the energy that's around us right now of change.
Yes.
That's inspiring people to really follow their heart.
I think that's a really good point, because I do see that as well. And the other thing I'll add too is people are starting to see work being done differently with AI in particular. So I think this is actually giving us an opportunity to be more playful and look at what other options are out there. We don't always have to be in a certain box. And I think for work life, things work kind of like, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a whatever, an electrician, whatever. And now things are changing and shifting. And I think that can be really exciting. Right. And yes, I agree with the state of the world. I do see people finding different ways to build community and to make sense of things when it feels dark or like there's a lot of despair or hopelessness. That I really encourage people to turn towards each other rather than away from each other. Get off of social media and the news reels and all of the things that sink us lower and lower and lower, and go outside or go to the community center or go to the library or, whatever is accessible to you to see a human.
People are struggling, and I think a lot of people are struggling with their mental health.
Yes.
And I think it makes me look at the way that we run things in society through our medical system.
Mm-hmm.
It's so reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And I wondered, considering your line of work, what would be the best case scenario for you in terms of people getting the mental health resources that they actually need?
Oh, yes. I mean, I think having more accessible, low-cost counseling options or no-cost counseling options. Many years ago when I worked in community mental health, the people who get access to community mental health are people who are quite ill and have, severe and persistent mental illness, and they should. But people who were also suffering, but it wasn't maybe impacting their function as much. They fall through the cracks, but maybe they can't afford counseling services, and there's not a lot out there. I would love to see more places and spaces for people to go and get and access mental health support. I also think putting more money into community centers or community events and meetups and places where people can go, support groups, whatever that looks like, nature walks, all of those things. We do offer low-cost counseling at Boundless Heart Counseling Group, and I do that through my student intern program. And some people still can't afford that. And so we do a sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
And, we try to give back to our community. And we need more. We need more of that. I wish I could do more of that.
Yeah, I hear that. And, I recently reached out to the group Mamas for Mamas.
Yeah.
They support women, whether they are single mothers or moms who need support with mental health counseling, among other things. But it just made me think about the fact that, a mother that is maybe raising a couple of kids on her own, those mental health supports, that money that would go to that is such a good investment.
Absolutely.
Because you're investing in those children as well.
Yes. Yes. And we need to see the intergenerational support, right? When moms or parents are supported for their mental health, then that's going to impact the kids. It's going to impact all the kids in their kindergarten or grade 1 class. There's such a ripple effect.
Why do you think we can't connect the dots there?
Oh, I think that is a very complex question.
But do you think most people they make that connection between mental health and it being preventative care?
I don't know that people do.
Maybe
they do, but where the money is being spent, it's just kind of putting out fires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast was to have conversations, to move us forward, to, let's think about some ideas that are maybe outside of the box. Yeah. Like, yes, our situation, our system is flawed and it needs to be perfected or it needs to be improved. And so what are the ideas? What can we do? What can we actually do sitting here on our own to help people?
Yeah, that is a good question. And I do think it does start in our local communities, however that looks. It could even be, you see someone struggling to carry their groceries. You help them carry their groceries.
I was just thinking actually about traffic.
Yeah.
So
traffic.
So one place where I like to exhibit kindness is as a driver.
Yeah.
Like, it's a simple thing.
Yes.
But I really do believe that pays off dividends. And, to the person that maybe I let in or, just everyone can just take a breath.
Agreed. You know what I've started doing too is I talk to people. I'm becoming my mother.
You're talking to people like strangers in public?
To strangers. I'll say hi to people.
Yeah, I like to do that too.
If we're standing in line together, I'll comment on something. I make compliments to people, you
Mhm.
know, and I actually, I joke, but my parents have always done that. And, you know, we used to kind of tease them about that. And now I do it and my sisters do it. Maybe my brother does too. I don't know. But I do think that those are the ways that we can open up each other's eyes.
Mhm. And just, yeah, like that hello or holding a
Yeah.
door for someone in the
Yes.
morning
Yeah.
could change their mood for the rest of the day, or maybe even just for that small moment. But I do believe there's so much value
Yeah.
in those small connections and those little things that each of us can do every
Yes.
day.
I agree.
Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Sacred Space with Sonia. And thank you for listening. I would love it if you liked and subscribed. Until next time.